Second Edition, or EVT2. The test was published in 2007. The author is Kathleen T. Williams, and the EVT2 was published by Pearson. The complete cost of the entire kit, including Forms A and B, is $441.65, or to simply purchase the Form A kit, which is what Pitt has, that costs $234.60. The EVT2 can be used for individuals aged 2 years and 6 months through 90 years and older. The purpose of the test is to assess expressive vocabulary and word retrieval abilities in standard American English. The EVT2 can be used as a screening tool or for progress monitoring, and it is utilized by SLPs, reading specialists, psychologists, educational diagnosticians, early childhood specialists, and the like. The components of the EVT2 are a manual, an easel or a stimulus booklet, which contains 3 examples followed by 190 scored items, and each item is a colored picture that's paired with a stimulus question found in the record book, and each kit, Form A or Form B, includes 25 record forms. To prepare for administering the EVT2, the examiner should be trained by reading the manual, studying the report forms and the test items, and by practicing administering the test. The examination room that the test will be given in should be quiet and well lit. The examiner should ensure that the record form is placed behind the easel and that the examinee cannot see this. When the client, it's important to establish a sense of rapport with him or her, and then the examiner should complete the identifying information section about the client on the cover of the record form and then calculate their chronological age. So during standardization, an age norm sample was used that was 3,540 individuals, and then the grade norm subsample included around 2,003 individuals. And then as you can see here, the target percentages for both age and grade norms were around 50% female, 50% male. And then, as we mentioned, the age ranges were 2 years and 6 months to 90 years and older. And then the subsample for grade norms was grades kindergarten through 12. This overview of the other standardization details shows that they sampled a wide range of U.S. regions, and according to racial and ethnic characteristics, they wanted to match African American, Hispanic, white percentages as closely as they could according to the U.S. Census. And then additionally, we have information about the education levels of the examinees or the parents. In terms of validity of the EVT2, it is assumed that this measure can assess a client's vocab and word retrieval, and it is assumed that the EVT2 accurately represents the U.S. population. In terms of content validity, the descriptions of EVT2 item development reflect this. The items were selected on the basis of their commonality in standard American English, and the items were reviewed intensely by content specialists and then placed into 20 descriptive categories. In terms of concurrent validity, the EVT2 was correlated with the original EVT, which was a measure that was established as highly reliable for measuring vocab and word retrieval, and the correlation between these two editions was very high. And then in terms of predictive validity, there were correlation studies conducted that compare the EVT2 scores with scores obtained from other instruments that measure vocab, language ability, and reading achievement. And these studies were carried out during the standardization of EVT2, and they utilized samples that were fairly representative of the general U.S. population with respect to age, sex, geographic region, socioeconomic status, and special education status. And then the test lists here are the ones which EVT2 was correlated with. And now I'll move on to reliability. For test-retest reliability, the EVT2 performance appeared to be stable over time. And for parallel forms and internal consistency, as we discussed, there are two parallel forms, A and B, and they are very similar according to the tests of reliability. And for split half reliability and coefficient alpha, these were conducted for both forms, and we can see that the statistics were high in each. So moving on to administration, we can see that the EVT2 contains record forms, and each record form has the 190 stimulus questions, and each question is paired with an illustration on the testing easel. The examinee views the image on the easel while the question is read, and they must respond with a one-word answer. The stimulus question will require that they either label a picture, or that they answer a specific question about the picture, or that they must provide a synonym for a word that fits the context of the picture. Administration usually takes between 10 to 20 minutes. You will begin with the appropriate examples depending on the person's age group. So examples 1 and 2 are administered for ages 2 years, 6 months to 6 years, 11 months. And then beyond that age, you'll administer examples 2 and 3. And following the examples, you move on to the appropriate start item, which is listed very obviously on the testing easel. And you'll continue testing until the ceiling is reached, which is 5 consecutive wrong responses. An examiner will be marking all of the answer record form while they are testing the individual. In terms of scores, raw scores can be calculated easily from the record form. There's a max score of 190. The manual provides instructions for converting raw score to standard score, or from raw score to the age equivalent or grade equivalent score. And then additionally, percentile rank can be translated from the individual standard score. Some limitations and cautions are that the EVT2 cannot be used for children under the age of 2.6. The authors didn't include any items related to clothing, which we felt was a fairly commonly discussed topic among children and adults. And then from items 182 and on, the questions were very difficult and seemed to be well beyond common vocabulary knowledge. And then when establishing a basal, the administrator should be very attentive because the directions are somewhat confusing. And lastly, the EVT2 is not compared to another expressive vocabulary test, indicating concurrent validity could possibly be better examined.